Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Carla from MindPlore with Carla and Friends. And we have people who all have been here at some time or another. Kurt came last week for the first time, and I needed someone today, so he's here. Ingoff is my musician friend. I am always happy to have him here. I can rarely get him, and I got him last minute today. I'm not sure how that happened. And of course, you all know Canute. The word of today is freedom. What does freedom mean to you or to me and then to the world? How do we create freedom in the world? And with that, I'm going to pass the mic to Kurt to begin talking on freedom. You are muted. You need to unmute
Yes,
yourself.
thank you. So I just said you're picking out the oldest guy in the whole panel, but that's all right. If you've been around a little bit in the 94,000 years, then maybe I can say something. Freedom is fine for everything when it is accepted by everything. Without this idea of being accepted, for me, it didn't matter. I was still who I was or still am without having to worry about what the society says. Society is what we've grown up into and been conditioned to do. For instance, everybody loves love. There's a picture of a man in a movie called Human. It's a 3-part series of 90 minutes each. The very first 10 minutes, when you see that, there will be a man looking you straight in the face, and he tells you how he learned love, first from his father, and then from the most unexpected source you could ever imagine. And if that statement isn't true, you tell me when you see that. So he learned what was actually real, true love from somebody who should never have been able to love him, to show him love. Yet his father, who was supposed to love him, only learned love from his father the way he gave it to his son. So we are conditioned by our upbringing. Are we really free? Is this real freedom? We get to be able to seek what will be true for ourselves, because we got to be happy with ourselves. If we're not happy with ourselves, we're in hell, no matter if there's peace in the world or not. And I'm all about creating peace in everything and everything with peace. So this is what we can discuss about freedom. And it's your turn. Well, we have Asma here. Can we have Asma? We have a beautiful lady here and who has some wisdom from the youth.
Absolutely. Asma. Kurt, please mute yourself. Thank you. Asma, hi, you got here.
Yeah, I just need to pray, and now I'm done with. And thank you so much. And I think today topic, I just look at the today topic is about freedom, and it is the most beautiful topic, I think. And when we talk about the freedom, I think at first freedom, when we talk, there always comes the rights, like a right to do the certain things that human have. There are, we all have some rights, say, when we born, and if we have to, if we, there are some people follow, there some people have get the right to do them, they have the freedom, but some people have not that freedom to get the rights that they have. And there comes the, but everybody, I think, with the birth, everybody get some kind of freedom, and that freedom actually very necessary. And on the other hand, everybody needs the freedom. And when you come to the when you get the freedom, you have the ability, you improve yourself, you work on yourself, and you get to do the things. But similarly, on the other side, there are also some boundaries. There are also some limits that human needs to be followed. And when these two combine with each other, like when we talk about the rights, when we have the rights, there also we need to follow some things for the other people, that other people also have some rights. So when these two things combine, they make a bond together. Similarly, freedom and then the boundaries both combine together, and they make a connection, and that connection becomes a very beautiful thing. Like whenever even we talk about, I will talk about it for a simple, for one person. Like if one person have the right to do these certain things, but on this same kind, there are some things that we can't do. I have the limitation, and it's very important to know that. I think it's very important to know that what where we don't need to focus on and what's our boundaries. When you focus on that things, when you clear them, then you know what's your freedom, what rights you have, and then you work on your rights, and then you work on their. Uh, and and I think that's what I at first want to share.
Thank Thank you, Asma. Canute, can you give us your definition of freedom?
For me, I think that freedom is something I both I feel, but it's also a space that I can operate within. It's like my inner freedom is then aligned with the external, the outer freedom, and I can move freely. And I've been working on this for many years. You know that what is freedom? What is love? And I think for me, it is then to both have freedom and authority. It's not easy to have to feel the freedom if you don't have your own personal authority, if you can't decide yourself. So for me, freedom is also to decide that this is me and this is my life. I have the freedom to express myself as my true self. And I think this conditioning, as Kurt also talked about, is extremely important. That freedom is not to be conditioned. It's not to be a good citizen. It is to be yourself. And that is for me the most fundamental definition of freedom, that I can be myself and to find out who I am when I'm authentic and free.
Thank you, Canute. Okay, Ingolf. It's been a long time coming.
Well, it's great to be here. I want to pick up what Kurt said, and we have to really, I think, define if there is a free will, how much we are kind of, well, I mean, how much of our freedom or what we expect from life is created by somebody else for us, and we merely react to basically chemicals in the brain that are created depending on what pattern we have formed. And this goes directly into the wonder that human being is such a wondrous thing, because we are kind of a blank sheet. We are hugely adaptable. We can live in minus degrees. We can live in plus 40. We can adapt to this situation, to that situation. This is what why we learn so much, or kids have to learn so much the first 7 years or the first 8 years to get like acquainted with the world and learn how it works and so on. And there is probably where all of that, what we call ourselves, is created. And I think it's directly, I would like to ask the question to the group, because this is something I'll probably will live my whole life asking that question. But it's about the consciousness. It's about, is it in us? Is it outside of us? whom are we, or who are we talking to when we talk to ourselves, when we think, when we talk to ourselves? How is that all working? And I think this is very much connected with freedom, because only if you get a sense of what it is to be human, you can really define what's freedom. Because freedom is not to, as you said rightly, to be a good citizen, or to do what you're told, or you are sort of free, or you think you're free. So this is what I would like to ask the group. Who are we talking to when we talk to ourselves?
Actually, you took that question from me. I don't know how you got it. Well, I can think of ways of how you got it. But to me, freedom starts within and not outside, because unless we feel free to be ourselves, we cannot be free from anything happening outside of us. Otherwise, I feel that many times we get very stuck. Oh, I want someone to like me. I want someone to do this. And we get stuck knowing who we are and what we're about. And it's really important to work on that personal freedom, that personal respect for ourselves. Does that answer your question from my side?
Absolutely. I mean, this is a question that is very, very hard to answer. I'm very aware of that. But the point is, I think, when you say free from within, then what is yourself? That's the question.
Well, that's the question of all ages. The big thing about it is, who am I? There's a book in Bombay. There was a little guy that rode bidis. Bidis are like little cigarettes in India and in the subcontinent. And that's how he made his living. His name was Nirsagadata. He was what they call in India a jnani, a person who used his intellect to seek out that answer. They compiled answers in his discourses and his answering the questions of his students in 2 big, thick volumes called I Am That. Now, for me to interpret that is to be able to sort of like get into the cosmic presence. Instead of being an independent little drop, I'm not a drop in this ocean. Yet I'm a drop. I'm the water still in the ocean, but I'm the ocean. But I feel I'm a drop. If I feel I'm a drop, that's all I am. But when we open up to that fullness of consciousness, so to speak, then we are that. Now, how do you get there? Well, in all continents, they have been teaching meditation for thousands of years, millions of people. And when enough people meditate, violence goes down. Why? What is meditation? Meditation is basically, Patanjali, the codifier of yoga, said that it was one continuous, constant thought of one choice, of one point. But then there's something beyond that meditation, and that is called samadhi, where you are getting into one of 2 states of samadhi. One is where there's absolutely no brainwave activity, and people have been recorded with no brainwave activity. They're supposed to be dead, but they are just in suspended animation, so to speak. There's also the opposite end, where they have so much brain activity, but guess what? Both the experiences give you the same feeling of, basically, we would call it, as close as we can, bliss or ecstasy, without having to take any drugs called that. There's no drug need. Why do people use drugs? They don't need to. It's a tool that can be used by some indigenous people. It's fine. It's their way. But indigenous people also have something called vision quests. They get you out for 4 days and 4 nights, totally by yourself, in basically 8 square feet of an area and you do not leave that space, you have just nothing there but you and your clothing and whatever keeps you warm at night. And that's it. No water, no food for 4 days and nights. And you basically can get so into a calmer state of being that you have your vision of who you are and why you are here. It's like the flower that is, I just walked by a cactus flower, and it was actually one that was, the cactus was destroyed, but it was still blossoming. It was destroyed like 5 days ago, and this flower is still blossoming, still showing its beauty because it's here for that. And each flower, each plant, everything is here to be part of this incredible creation that we have, that we blame on Allah, we blame on the Tao, we blame on whatever you want to blame it on, or you don't need to put any blame anywhere. So I can rant and rave about all this kind of craziness because I've been into it for 94,000 years.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. Knut, I'd love to hear your expression.
Yeah, maybe it's related to what you say, because this feeling when I stayed in south of Portugal, I found my paradise beach. And the word coming up for me then was the connection. I was connected. And whatsoever we talk about this, it can be in relationship to another person, to you. I feel connected. That's freedom. I'm connected with my community. I'm connected with the divine. I'm connected. And somehow I know that no one else, as Carla said, no other person are affecting me. I feel connected with myself. And if they disagree with me, I'm still connected with myself. I don't blame myself. I don't blame other people, because I have this freedom to flow. And more, and we discussed this before, with this feminine and masculine, with fixed and flow, fixed and flexible. It's like I can swim. Sometimes I have a very clear vision, and that is my freedom, to keep my vision, my intention crystal clear, never giving up what I dream about. And on the other hand, I can flow. So if I meet a hindrance, a blocking, then I'm free to find another way. And it's not a defeat. It's not some loss. It's just that I move in another direction. I find another solution. And for me, that is also the greatest of freedom. It's very closely related to freedom to express my feelings, my thoughts, my whole being is there in this freedom. And then the freedom is also very flexible. But in some contexts, it's also an obligation not to express my freedom as I understand the freedom, because I can also then the freedom to take care of the other. And if the other has not the same freedom and the same space to move within, then I can say, okay, it's okay, because I'm free. I'm free from something and I'm free to something. So freedom is both to have this, as I say, this my own conviction, and I can ask myself, who are you, Knut? As Ingo talked about, I think that is very, very relevant here. That when I can ask myself, who are you, Knut? And so I am me, whatsoever that means. But yes, I feel I'm me, I'm myself, and then I can express that. And my God, I have struggled to do that. So freedom is also a battle very often for most of us, because we are so conditioned. We have been educated, taught to do this or that, and then we start to say, what the heck have I been doing all my life? Have I really listened to all those authorities and voices and teachers and gurus whatsoever? And then I put, is this you? And the answer was no. And then the commandment was so to say, can you walk your own path? That is to be a role model. That is freedom. Whatsoever other people have told me, and my God, I have been struggling with that, but now I feel, yes, it's like a victory. So freedom is also this inner feeling, yes, this is success. Whatsoever, it can be very hard, it can be very tough, but whatsoever, yes, it's this yes.
Yes.
Absolutely, yes.
Asma, you have a beautiful smile and you seem so engrossed. What was your experience? Because for me, we're talking about what a Sufi is, a mystic. Um, we're experiencing God. Because I don't want to just talk to the dude. I want to listen to the dude too. Who's the dude? Well, what's that? What gives us that inspiration? What gives us that enthusiasm? And I see this openness in you, like you're absorbing so much, and to be able to feel how you can express it now that you've heard some crazy old men talking. How do you feel?
That's really amazing. Actually, today I just want to learn, but you asked me, so I wanted to share. And while the conversation, from all of your conversation, I was just with that. I'm also like exploring, and I'm just going through your conversation, and there I just find out like when we look at the whole universe, everything has a freedom. Like what is actually the state of like meaning of general meaning of like dictionary meaning of freedom, the state of not being prison. This is the general dictionary meaning of freedom. So everything in the universe is in that state. And even our emotion of pain, emotion of happiness, emotion of cry, emotion of yeah, yeah, everything has that, I think, that state of prison. And when we allow everything to be in that state of not being present, to the in state of freedom, then everything explodes, everything enlightened. And I think everything then gives you the beauty. Like when you, even I just want to share a simple example, like when we like express, like when we want the happiness, but on the other side, when we deny and push all the other emotions of pain and hurt, and we just suppress that emotion, we're not allowing that emotion to be free, to be show their itself. So what will happen? It also hurt the human body, because we have not given the freedom to that emotion. So I was just exploring that God has made everything, and everything is born with the freedom to not be in prison. And as you said, connecting with the God, I think this nature, the things connects you. You everything. I ask a lot of questions. Every day I ask a lot of questions, and I love to be asked the questions. That's my favorite hobby, and I get the answers. Why I ask the question? Because I get the answer. That's the thing that I love. Whenever I look at one thing and why this is like this? I don't know to whom I am questioning, but I said, God, why this is like this? Why this is happening like this? And for some person, there is no reason to get that answer. Like it's not statistically right, but whatever. On the other side, this nature gives you the answer. Like everything, sometimes you ask the question, and when you allow yourself, I think after that, if we are talking about the freedom, after asking the question, you also need to allow yourself to get the answer. Allow your mind, like we don't need to be in the boundaries, like this is my comfort zone, like this is my whole circle, and I need to be think like this, I need to be spend my whole life this. So this means you are not allowing yourself to explore, you are not allowing your mind to get something more. And when you allow your mind, when you allow yourself to get the to get and give them the freedom, you get the answers. And nature gives you the answers, even in the form of people, even in the form of some text messages, even in the form of some phrases, even in the form of some tree, in the form of some other object. You get your and you connect with that, and you say, that's what I was thinking. That is the answer of my question. That for that question I was struggling so long. But at first, as you said, at first we have to be allow our mind, have to be allow ourselves to explore, to give ourselves the freedom to explore our mind, so that we can get the answer, so that we can get connect, and we don't need to be or bound ourselves or prison ourselves in a circle. When we bound ourselves, this is also actually here we are also denying the freedom. Might be the freedom of mind, but this also affect the freedom when we not allowing our mind and not allowing ourselves to get more, to learn more.
If
Yeah.
learning, if your thinking is based on learning, and someone wrote a similar question in the chat, if learning learning in schools, there are expectations. Oh, you're supposed to learn this, you're supposed to learn that. Where does the freedom of being you come about? Because I know at times I was told, oh, I need to learn this, but this is not of value to me. How do you handle that as a student? Because you are a student.
Yeah, that's happened, and that I deal with some situation today yet. But what happened, like I don't think, like whenever I do some work, I think that I always put that work in some specific space. Like I consider that this is a part of my day. This is not my whole day. Like as some teacher is saying to me, you have to solve this question like this. Although I can explore more, I can do a lot more things, I can but they are not allowing me. So whatever the last but I'm very don't follow the rules. So at my last effort I try to follow whatever I want to do, but where I am like I can't do. So there I follow them, but there I always remind myself, like, girl, this is the part of the day. This is the part of something. This doesn't mean that this doesn't affects your whole mind, and this shouldn't affect your mindset. Like today, I have to deal with one situation. There are some critical situation where I have to, like, it's affecting my mind, and the whole day I was just repeating one thing to my mind. I speak myself, yeah, Asma, that is happened, that is the way people are doing that, but this shouldn't affect me, this shouldn't you have to remind that you learn that, and for that you also need some materials, you need some teachers, you need some mentors, you need books that always gives you the motivation, encouragement, inspiration is very important, and when you have that inspiration, then that things affects, but not too much, because you always remind yourself, like, they are not allowing me, but I have the freedom, and whenever I get the chance, I go.
Thank you, Osmo. You are always an inspiration for not only the youth, but people who are a bit older. Kurt, what do you want to say? I was trying to pass it on to someone else. Ingolf, do you have anything to say according to what Ozma has been saying?
Yeah, well, there's so much in there, like freedom is a very tricky thing in education because it's commonly mistaken as a free path to do nothing often. So I think the most important thing in education is work ethics, and I'm wondering if you can, I mean, your own work ethics, because whatever you do, for example in music, it's very, very apparent that you have to basically tell yourself whatever is yourself. You talk to yourself and you you work on yourself, and you tell yourself to do a certain thing, even better and better, or more and more, and to get to a certain goal that you want to reach, and so on. And only if you reach a certain goal, then you experience freedom. In music, that's like this: if you are on stage, if you're in the zone, and if it's just working and you're playing without thinking, which is basically a meditative state, then you experience freedom. But you get to the state only by hard work. Otherwise, you would never experience this. So I think what's very, very important is that we teach our kids, and I don't have yet, but hopefully at some point, that we teach our kids to work on themselves that much that you experience freedom, and that you don't have to be free just by doing something that somebody else tells you to do. And I think this is the most important thing, that you really work hard, whatever it means, and on whatever you want, but you have to do.
I totally agree in regard to that idea of you have to work hard to be able to get into that flow space. People daily meditate to be able to more readily get into that space. I started the Institute of Sports Psychology in India in 1982. And I was teaching meditation and nutrition and a holistic approach. The success systems grew up a year after international. And what we do is we look at life in its wholeness. So when you're fed properly with whole food, with natural, organic, biodynamic food, it assimilates into your body all these nutrients that allow your body to function at its optimum. Now, what do we do for our mind? We can let our mind go crazy, or we can learn to be able to focus it like the laser beam focuses energy. And it can measure the distance to the moon by, less than millimeters and all that. And it can fuse your retina in your eye or whatever. But the creative aspect of life comes only from, like we were mentioning, from within. Now, did it come from within this cosmos? Yes, because we're part of that cosmos. As above, so below. As we calm the mind, because it rehabilitates prisoners. They get changed inside so that when they go outside, they're different. I gave a program in 1983 in Stockholm. I was living in Fruängen in Stockholm, teaching at Stockholm University, and I gave programs at GEHO, Gymnastics Högskolan, and I don't say it very well, but teaching basically to use meditation to get into that flow state for an athlete. Consciously it will. And it is so, so powerful. And without that control of this simple mind that can either be your best friend or your worst enemy, what do? Make friends with your friend. Always look on the bright side of life and live in bliss and serve others. Who's others? There are no others. You feel good when you serve. And I'm using the plural you rather than that little independent you, because who are we? We are all one, and we are all free as we allow ourselves to be, as free as we can take ourselves out of well-conditioned animal, like I have to have this, I got to get the newer this. We're well-conditioned animals there. Can we see the conditioning? Most people cannot. That's why they got to have more. And that's why Musk wants to do this and Gates wants to do that. But are they serving humanity? Instead of spending money to go to space, nobody needs to be starving. Let's uplift life and humanity to its optimum. That's what life is about.
So right.
Yeah.
An interesting aspect here, as you say, when, according to what you say, Kurt, is of course that in order to have freedom, we also need to be disciplined. So discipline is the other side, and that is what you talk about in growth. But on the other hand, what I have, I call it inspired action. When I am inspired, I can do whatsoever is required to achieve my goal. So that is the inspiration, and that is always starting from within. I can get an impulse from the outside, but it's always recognized within myself. So it's more like a trigger, but it's my decision. So freedom is also to make my own decisions and then to follow that path. And that's why most people, they talk about freedom, but they don't realize it because they don't experience it, because they don't have the discipline in order to achieve the goal. Because it's like expanding of the cells, of the small cells, the small egos, expanding it more and more and more until we can allow other people to be themselves and allow myself to be myself. And I'm disciplined enough sometimes to shut up. That is not easy, but to shut up and to let other people, have their time in the limelight, so to say, because you don't need to be in the limelight always. On the other hand, sometimes you stand up for yourself. And I mentioned that sometimes before as well. I know that, but when I was asked what are you most afraid of, then it was this to stand up for myself on behalf of the whole. To stand up for myself on behalf of the whole. This stand up for myself is to have the self-confidence, that's the freedom too. That I have the self-confidence to accept myself, also with my skills and competences and what is my vision, what is my calling, what is my vocation, and then have the discipline when others said you are wrong to it. And I heard that many times, you are astray or you are weird or I don't understand what they're talking about, you whatsoever. But okay, that is a part of the discipline. It's okay, I accept that you don't understand, but I know where I am going, what my vision is, what my vocation is, and then I work on myself until I am more and more clear in what I'm working with. So discipline and freedom, they are two sides of the same coin here. And I think most people, they forget that. You wouldn't have historical development and evolution if it hadn't been like people like Franz of Assisi, Mother Teresa, Nelson Mandela, Galileo Galilei, and artists that they were condemned in their own time. They died poor, with no money, hungry, thirsty, forgotten. Mozart, in a mouse where we don't even know where he's buried. So this freedom is also sometimes very lonely. Let's not forget that either. But it, as I say, it is sometimes something we need to fight for, not just for ourselves, but it starts there, and then we also see how much freedom is worth for other people. So for me, this is a global question now. This is what this post COVID also is about, to achieve more freedom for us, for every one of us. That is the challenge we have, and we need to battle for that, because many people, they don't want us to have that freedom. Remember that too. They want to manipulate us, they want to educate us, they want us to obey their systems, their rules, what they expect. They want us to do the work, they want us to do whatsoever, the products and services. They are destroying the planet, destroying both the inner and the outer climate. And when we realize that, then we will fight for the freedom. It's like George Gurdjieff, the Russian mystic, said, if you don't know that you are in prison, you will never get out of it either. You will never be free.
So right. If I can jump in, sorry, because this discipline is exactly also what I meant by hard work, and this and the word entropy comes to mind, because I sometimes think that if you work on something complicated, for example, you always have to kind of control and discipline your own mind, because you only then you can put it into the right channels to actually go to where you want to go. But in order to know where you want to go, you need to have the bird's eye view. You need to be able to zoom out and see where your place in the whole system is.
So let's get back to freedom.
Well, the freedom of choice. That's the big key. Some people do not have certain freedoms. They don't have a freedom to go to the store and get some food. There's no stores around. I worked with the Samburu project in Kenya, and basically it's an area of Kenya that has no wells around hardly. You have to walk 12 miles to the nearest well. And the women carry these huge pots, not only on the with a big thing holding pots on the end, but also on their head. So they've got these heavy pots that they're bringing for their families to be able to allow them to be able to drink and to do what they need to do with the little water that they have. Samburu project gets to have people have wells closer to their homes. So the women then learn or know actually these handicrafts. It's like the khadi in India. It's the natural fibers that you make the threads, you make the weaving and so on and so forth. You're making the cloth and it breathes. It's natural. It's good. It empowers the people to have a different, better life. And the freedom that we can give to people is getting everybody fed, everybody clothed, everybody having enough food. And then there's more choices available. There's a boy in a village in Africa who created his own windmill from things that were just trash. He figured not just a windmill, the windmill produced electricity. A little boy in a village in Africa. When we empower people in the villages, open their thoughts to what is available, give them a little bit of instruction, again, it goes within, or it can come from within, like Socrates' method. We can get people to be able to be using their right brain rather than just their left brain like schools all go about. And the beautiful thing about having music, it's mostly coming from what? The right brain. But it uses the left brain, or you couldn't tickle those ivories and so on. So we're using that wholeness of life. It's always about the wholeness. So thank you.
I agree with you, Kurt. Well, and it's not a but I'm going to use the word but. Many people are afraid to be free. And I want to put this out to everyone. They're afraid to be free because they have been taught, don't talk about this, don't talk about that. This can't happen. It never happened before. Well, we didn't have cell phones 30 years ago. Now we have them, and many people have them. We didn't have the internet. And it all happened from someone who was free to think out of the box and look at something new. And I want to ask everyone your feelings on this, because we get caught up. I know I got caught up. My parents thought I should be in a schoolroom teaching, classroom teaching. I didn't want to be after certain things happened. Well, what are you going to do? Well, look at what I'm doing now. It's very different from what I was doing earlier in life. And it was in being able to look past what we have been instructed. So I would like to get everyone's feelings on this. And for some reason, I want to pick on Ingolf, begin with Ingolf. So.
Well, it's a good point. I mean, Knut also, I think you went there as to that we are being told what to, or that people need to, be aware that they're in a prison or that they are controlled and so on in order to be free. And I would even say that this is absolutely real, that we, especially now, we live in times where it's quite dangerous to say stuff, even if it's the most logical thing, because of the culture that has been created, mainstream, etc. But I would also say, I mean, this is too big topic for 1 hour talk. But it's like, it's even one has to also take into consideration that even some inventions have been, let's say, created by a free mind because he came up with this or that solution. But sometimes he had to come up with such a solution because he was forced by a government or by a bigger entity in order to do something, which is also not correct. And some of big inventions have been created this way. We cannot forget this. But I think you're so right, Carla, when you say we cannot be afraid to be free. We cannot be afraid to say what we think, as long as we have really thought about our own opinion. Because it's very easy to, I say that when I gave a TEDx talk about the value of music, and I used there something like called empty phrasing. This is in the music business like this, that people say the right things and it sounds exactly right, but if you dig a bit deeper, you know that they have absolutely no clue what they're talking about. They're just using empty phrases. And this we cannot have, that somebody thinks he's free and says just whatever he wants, because the internet's full of that. We don't need this. But if you have thought about your own thoughts, and if you have thought about your own opinion, then never, ever, ever be afraid of saying it, no matter which government or whatever tells you to think in a certain way. So this is absolutely necessary.
Thanks, Inga. What about you, Knut? Are you with us?
Yes, I am with you. Returning back to this, what we discussed also about education, because I think, that we don't feel inspired. We are afraid of greatness, as Marianne Williamson said, that we are more afraid of a greatness than of failures. That is one aspect of this freedom, that we are afraid of the greatness. The other thing is that I have often felt that myself, that I am very vulnerable when I express myself, especially when I express something that is not, it's not conditioned. It's something original, at least it is original for me, and I try to express that in my environment, and then the environment, they don't really take it. They resist it, they disagree with me, they even attack me. Okay, and when you also when we work with creative solutions, and you come up with something that has never been talked about before, then it's like you sacrifice your child. You lay your heart vulnerable and naked on the table, and then you ask for feedback. And if the feedback then is very negative, then you feel you are attacked, you are hurt, you are wounded. And many of us, we are wounded, not at least from school, because we were forced to learn something that we were not inspired to do. So that is what I, again, back to the new education, that we teach the children, we teach the youth to express themselves naturally. But now the educational system is there not for expressing our true creativity and freedom. It is to serve a society. And when we now are in the biggest shift in human history, then we need to unleash a new kind of creativity. This is also a part of the freedom. And that's why we also need a new education system. That's why we need to have to find new methodologies. We need to understand how everything is interconnected in a way so we feel inspired, and not the least that we are seen and understood as unique contributors to the whole. Because if you don't feel that you are valuable, you are worthy to express your freedom, who you are, then you will withdraw. That's so many people feel numb, because they feel that they have to strive for the survival. They do their work, but it's boring, it's boring, it's boring. And that is not freedom. That is not, to be bored is not the same as being disciplined, to say, okay, I accept that this is boring, because I know that when I learn it, then I will achieve my goal. That is a big difference. That's why I talk about the inspired action. When I'm inspired, I can do whatsoever in order to achieve my goal. If I'm not inspired, I will die more and more inwardly. And that is really a disastrous outcome of the educational system.
Yes, I totally agree. That's the big key is the focus, I believe, because when we keep the intention or the goal in mind, so to speak, then all kinds of things come to us to achieve that. Give you an example. When we founded the Peace Lab, we developed 5 days on the Humanity Rising's Global Solutions platform for presenting an hour-and-a-half program on peace. And they were each so different. They approached peace in the economic way, in the arts way, in the education way, in the racist way, and all the different ways that you can do in that 1 week. During that time, we somehow, to be able to do that, we somehow attracted all the people we needed for it. We just focused on what kinds of things we wanted to be able to have developed and expressed in a way that people could see new ways of doing things, see a different kind of an approach, to be able to feel that, yes, I can achieve. And like a friend of mine, Ulf Sandström, he's from Stockholm also. Ulf works with trauma. He goes down into Africa where they've had child soldiers or they had the genocide, and he works with these common people that have had horrific experiences. By the time he leaves them with one of the practices that I gave him and something that he calls traumatic tapping, they're dancing, they're singing, they're in circle again. We have so much power when we keep that focus. And like Carla's doing, she has this focus for this dialogue. It's a deeper and deeper dialogue into different topics. And as we get deep, everybody else can get deep too. And everybody who watches this simple little program with a few people from around the world, wow, we can become more what some people call enlightened. We can become lighter. We don't have to feel so heavy and everything is bad. I just met a person who's a contractor up the road on my walk this morning. I didn't know him from Adam. We started talking. We started sharing about these simple things. And more smiles happen. And I'm going to send them a simple thing on how to be even happier. Because when you're happier, you're healthier, you're less troublesome, so we're spreading peace in the world. Now, there are simple things to do to be happier. And when we spread it, it has wildfire catching. And this is a nice wildfire. And wildfires in ancient times actually helped the planet get to be what it is. But the kind of wildfires that are happening in the world today are not the way nature normally had functioned. We get to get back to nature and learn from that and develop and go. You see, I'm a bit of a tangentialist. I'm sorry. Your turn.
It's okay. The show needs to end in a few minutes. That's the only reason. But we all go in tangents. That's part of the freedom of being yourself and being who you are. But I do want Ingolf and Knut and Asma to say final words. Guys, we only have 3 minutes left. Please keep it short. Knut, do you want to say any last words?
I think what we have been discussed is also that it takes courage to reclaim our freedom. To feel free is also to have the courage to say that yes, I am vulnerable, but I will follow my own path. That is the only way to freedom.
Thank you, Knut. Ingolf.
Well, I liked so much when it was about the dancing, about the happiness, about the health, because I couldn't stop but thinking about music. Because what many people don't understand is that we are frequency. We ourselves are made out of frequency, and this is why music and music education, especially, is so important. That's why it's our life's mission, and it's so important to have valuable music, because it's like I always say, it's like you can't close your ears. So it's not like you can close your eyes or close your mouth. You decide what you eat or look at, but you always hear, even if you close your ears. So it means if you hear bad music, for example, it's like if you would eat McDonald's every day, and that would not affect you very well for your health and happiness. And this we do still with music every day. So that's why music is so important, not because I'm a musician, but keep listening to good music and, be happy and healthy.
Actually, using music is a way of letting that freedom flow. And there's all types of music. And actually, I would love to do something on frequency next week if you're available. I'll talk to you after the show, but I've been thinking about it. Kurt, I can't let you go on and on, but quickly, do you have some last words you'd like to express?
Well, basically, love, serve, and remember why we're here. See God in each other and know that God dwells within you as you. Thank you. And I love you.
And actually, I love that, Kurt, because it's true. We need to be ourselves and not let someone else tell us who we need to be at any time of the day. And I'm coming to Ozma last because she is the youngest, and yet she has been very free in her way of learning and giving out her knowledge and being herself. Ozma, I can't let you talk very long, but
Yeah, I just agree with the Kurt. Like, be yourself and allow yourselves to ask more and more. You are born with the freedom by the God, no matter what people said to you, and you are yet, because you have given the choice to choose. And this is the only thing that humans have. They can choose throughout their life whenever they want to decide, they can decide because of their mind, because of their brain. Allow yourself to ask more, explore more. God loves those who ask and find the new ways.
and what's so cool about that is she's grown up in a system, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I look at the education system here, and we want to put everyone in a nice round hall, and not everyone is suited for that round hall. And Ozma is getting out of the hall and digging her own structure that she wants to live in. Am I correct in what I'm saying, Ozma?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. There were certain things, I just want to add, there were certain things when I was bounded to some ideologies, to some concepts, and where some point came, then I need to change that. Like, I need to relearn and unlearn. These two things are also very relearn and unlearn. So it was very difficult, but once I did that, after that things become very easy, and now I'm following that. So allow yourself to relearn and unlearn with the learning, that's are also very important.
Thank you, Asma. I think today has been a great discussion, and I'd like to go into frequencies and a lot of these topics that came up today. And I want to thank you guys for being here. You've been wonderful. Thank you, Kurt. Thank you, Ingolf. Thank you, Knut. Thank you, Asma. And I will be back on Thursday with a new crowd to talk about freedom and what freedom means to them. And to me, freedom is being able to be myself. With that, we're going to wave goodbye. Everyone wave. And we will be back again on Thursday with another version of MindPlore with Carla and Friends.
This is